Okay. Good morning. So today we'll be focusing on lateral bending. So that means a lengthening of the whole side body that, especially if we're seated a lot, can tend to get really tight and constricted. And this area can actually restrict our breathing. So we're going to be working our way up to doing some lateral bended seated or even some lateral bending standing. And this is also really great work for strengthening the core in a really gentle way. So to keep everything stabilized, your deep core really has to be engaged to hold and protect the spine. So we'll be going through each step of that along the way until finally we're doing some pretty big side body opening poses at the end. Okay. That's what we're going to do. Now let's do it. We'll start with our foundation at the feet. So feel the four corners of the feet grounded. If you haven't done this class with me before, just as sturdy and stable of a chair as you have, and try to get your seat up higher so that your seat up so your hips are higher than your knees. So that's as stable and steady, solid of a chair as you can, and then that sort of lift. And then as we ground down through the feet, we'll also extend up through the back of the crown. So both of those things happening at the same time. And then we'll just notice how it feels to make that effort to extend through the back of the crown and ground down the feet. And bring your attention to breath into the center of your torso. We'll take 5 to 10 big deep breaths as we get started here, just noticing any constriction or tightness through the torso and in the diaphragm possibly. So for example, me, as I'm taking a few big deep breaths, I notice that the right side feels much freer and the left side feels constriction and like the diaphragm is extra tight. So we're just taking 10 big deep breaths, noticing those things as we become aware of them, but just breathing through them, continuing to take big deep breaths. At first, you may notice that it's easier to bring breath into the chest. See if you can start to bring breath in and also down so that movement through the side bodies and the back body is happening as you bring breath in. Good. So we're already beginning to bring our attention into what is more of a meditative state. So we're becoming present and bringing our awareness to our felt sensation. In my neighborhood, there's a train. So becoming aware of whatever sounds you can hear in your environment and also in my environment. And then not just outwardly, but also sounds coming from your body. So what's the sound of your breaths like? And as you turn your sense of hearing to direct it towards your breath, continuing to ground gently down through the feet and up through the back of the crown, notice if there's jerks or stutters in the breath, if you could begin to smooth them out. So we'll just give a general cue now for the breath to be in and down and as smooth as possible. And as we begin to settle, feel the weight of your body on your sits bones. So whatever surface is on your chair, and try to feel that there's even weight distribution right and left, and so that there's no sort of hip height on one side, that your pelvis is as even side to side as possible. So equal weight through both sits bones. And same thing through the feet, equal effort through both feet, a gentle grounding down. You can lift the toes to feel a little bit more action down at the feet, and then see if you can just ground the big toe as you broaden across to the outside edge of the feet. So this may bring your knees to splay outward, as though you were squeezing something between your knees. You can do so with your fists to kind of feel that inner leg activation. Really try to hold the feet stable and send effort from the power of your hip all the way down to the feet to stabilize the low body. This is going to be a really important part as we begin to try to move and mobilize through the upper body. That can only happen in an efficient way and a safe way when the lower body is stabilized. So this first portion of class will spend quite a bit of time setting all this foundation so that you can have a felt sense when you're shifting from your hip and shifting your weight and not actually stretching the side body versus grounding through both sit bones and really getting some big lengthening and lateral bending through the side body. So equal weight through both feet and both sit bones. And still breath coming in and down. And as you notice your feet and this effort that you're making, there can be a tendency to either really ground and kind of feel if that one portion of the foot pushes down more than the other, or that you're kind of going 100% or 0. Try to find somewhere between 40 and 60% effort where there's an engagement down with your feet, an engagement of the inner leg line, and equal distribution of weight between both sit bones. And one of the most important aspects of these types of practices is learning to engage in a way that allows for you to hold in stillness. And this is where really a lot of the strength is developed through this held, stable stillness. So if you notice your feet compelled to make different movements, or that you're pressing all the way through the outside edge of the foot, just keep coming back to trying to find what I would call an effortless effort through both four corners of each foot. Good. Okay, and then we'll bring attention to the pelvis and we'll find a balanced pelvis. So if there's a tendency for a big low back curve, try to shift your weight back so that your shoulders are right over your hips, and create some action or tone in the low belly by lifting the front hip bones to balance the pelvis. So we balanced it right to left. Now we're balancing it front to back. So we're looking to find a neutral, natural lumbar curve in the low back. So not over curved and not flattened, but held right in the center. And to do this, grounding through the feet and gently lifting up and engaging the glutes will help support the pelvis to hold stable and steady. So if we were just to give no cues for the lower body and all of that is sort of unengaged, then as we move into the lower body, we'll actually find that we're moving the lumbar vertebra, which actually aren't designed to move all that much. They're designed to stabilize and support the core. So we're really developing this corset of core muscles here that can allow for the spine to be stabilized in the lower portion so that we're able to mobilize in the upper portion. Okay, so again, with the glute activation and the lifting in and up to stabilize the pelvis, find a quality of your action that's an effortless effort. And then I'll give a little more detail for the alignment of the rib cage. Take an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth, and align the rib cage with an activation of the upper abdomen right over the hip bones. And then keep breathing in and down, and see if you can feel how the breath is filling the torso, and a little bit more ease in posture when we stack your skeletal structure. So rather than rib cage here, pelvis here, and your body's diaphragms pointing away from each other, we're stacking all of this activation so that as we're building some heat in the body and developing the core, all of that energy is used really efficiently and builds heat and even supports better digestion. Okay, so we'll try a few core stabilizing activations here in this position. So the spine is held organized, broaden through the upper back and shoulders and extend up through the back of the crown. Both feet ground down with an effortless effort. And then feel as little movement as possible. See if you can float the left foot. So lifting it up, no movement happens in the upper body or the torso, and then set the left foot down. Inhale, float the right foot. Exhale, set the right foot down. Good, back and forth. So again, no movement in the upper body, seeing if you can find this activation at the front of the hip and using the stabilization muscles of the deep low belly to hold the spine in place, not allowing any side-to-side movement of the upper body. Good. And now coordinate this movement to the breath. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, lower. Stabilize through that foot as you put it down so that that can provide some support to lift the opposite leg. Good. Keep going side to side. Inhaling, maybe 3 or 4 seconds up. Exhaling, controlling, 4 or 5 seconds down. Good. One more time each side. You can hold your hands on the front of your hips and really feel where the muscle activation is happening to lift the leg. And so some of the tendencies would be to maybe to use some heave-hoing with the torso to get the leg up. See if you can feel all that power that we're developing here in the hips and the low belly. And it's a controlled, coordinated power. Good. And one more time, and lower both feet and check in with your posture. And now we'll take 5 deep breaths to allow all of the muscles to relax and then find that engagement of effortless effort. Noticing if anywhere is feeling strain and seeing if on your exhale you can consciously allow some softening of your tissues. Okay, so now we'll move into some lateral bending. We've stabilized the low body, engaged the glutes and the feet through all four corners. We'll bring our hands to the side ribs. So you can either hold the side ribs here with your elbows out to the side, or even wrap your arms around so that you're feeling the opposite side rib, whichever feels possible for your shoulder. We'll keep all of the engagement of the lower body and see if, as though you were pressing this side rib away, if you could tilt from the side and back to center. Inhale, tilt, as though you're pressing into your own hand. So if you chose this way, I'm tilting to the left, pressing into my hand with the rib cage, and tilting to the right. Good. Keep moving in this way, noticing if any effort is shifting side to side in the feet or in the low body, and keep that effort consistent and stabilized as you press through each side. And so just expanding space through the intercostal muscles and stabilizing the low body. We're really trying to kind of zero in on this area of the mid-torso, which sometimes can get really stagnant, but has the capacity for quite a lot of movement in all directions. Good. Next time you press out to the left, hold. Good, last breath in this position, and on your exhale, coming back to center, pressing out through the right side, and hold and breathe into that space. Noticing if you can still hold your awareness on your sense of hearing and hear the breath, direct breath into that space of your hand. Next breath, fill the right lung, and exhale. Head comes back on top and spine aligns. Good. So feeling the difference in a few breaths in the center of your capacity to kind of expand through this area of the body as you breathe. So we're trying to bring movement and breath and movement of the body and movement of the breath to these areas that tend to be stagnant. And using the breath in this way is something that you can do no matter your capacity. You can take your mind and attention to all these different areas and direct breath to bring energy and healing to that area. So now we'll move the spine forward and back. So if you can hold your hand on either side, if not, just keep the hands on the side ribs or crossing the arms, just to have a felt awareness on this area of the body and seeing if you can really bend forward into flexion from that area, and then extend upward and feel all this area of the front of the center of the abdomen getting a big stretch as you exhale, flexion, and as you inhale, extension, big stretch through the front center of the body. Keep going, connecting movement and breath. So you're as far forward as you can be when the exhale finishes, and you're extending, broadening the front of the body as your inhale fills and adds even more stretch to that area. Good. Last time, coming back into flexion and up into extension. Feet stay grounded, and then see if you can find right where center is, where the rib cage is right over the hip bones. And bring the hands back to the tops of the thighs. And we'll take 5 deep breaths here, noticing if maybe there's a little bit more spaciousness through this area to bring breath in and down. We'll bring a little bit more awareness to the eyes for the remainder of class. So still an awareness on your hearing your breath and your environment and my voice. And then also taking the eyes and holding them on a focus. So taking a laser focus with the eyes, seeing if maybe a spot right above the computer screen or right below the computer screen is something that you could fix your eyes on and still be aware of seeing me, but maybe not staring directly at me, but seeing it in the periphery. So after holding your eyes still, broaden your vision and take in all that you can see with your eyes. So your eyes are still in the sockets and your vision is broadened to the periphery, both. And bring breath in and down. 2 more breaths. Good. And we'll take the left hand and support yourself with that hand on with the chair. So if you have an armchair, you can hold the arm. If you're without an arm, just sort of holding the side of the chair and bringing the right arm down next to your side. On an inhale, we'll bring the arm up overhead. And we'll do the same thing as we did, pressing the side body out from the low ribs. So rather than tilting from the hip, we're pressing out from the side body. But both hips are staying even side to side. So there's no weight shifting between the hips, pressing out and reaching up overhead on an inhale, and exhale coming back to center. Again, inhaling, pressing out through the side ribs, lengthening up through the arm, broadening the hand. So finding the place in the overhead position that allows for no strain in the shoulder. So that could be here with the arm overhead, wherever it can be, to not allow the rib cage to jet forward, to keep the upper core engaged and be pressing out through the side body with an aligned spine and a contained rib cage. Good. So you may be getting some stretch in the underarm there, finding wherever you can have the arm overhead. If you have any injury or pain in the shoulder, we can be doing the same thing, lengthening the side body with the arm down at the side. Good. So this area of the lats and all of this area that we're trying to get into and move can affect the shoulder very much. So if you're having shoulder pain, continuing to move all of the areas that you can move all around it is really important for your recovery. Good, pressing it into the hand, out to the side, with either the arm up or down, or wherever in between. That creates some activation in the shoulder, and some reaching through the hand and getting linked through the side body here. Last time, reach and hold, and take a few deep breaths, really thinking about filling this side of the body. And next time you take an inhale and hold the breath in. And then exhale, coming back to center, arm comes down, and we'll take a few deep breaths in center, again, to feel the difference left to right. 5 deep breaths. Okay, lifting the left arm up and overhead to whatever position you can. You can come up through the front to really feel for where extends the rib cage. And wherever you find that place to be, the arm is up overhead. Or if there's any pain or strain in the shoulder, the arm can stay down at the side. Finding the right positioning for your shoulder for you. And inhaling, pressing through the side body. Weight stays equally distributed through the feet and through the hip bones. Good. Keep extending up, pressing into the hand, breathing in on the movement to the side and out as you come back to center. And so with your hand here on the opposite side, see if you can feel the movement of the rib cage. Maybe there isn't much movement at all. Maybe there's just a little pressing out that you can do without shifting your weight or pressing through the hip. However far to the side that you can go, that keeps the hips stabilized and the shoulder in a position that you could sustain overhead. That's your range of motion. And by honoring that without moving into compensation, you can increase it little by little over time. So continuing to pay attention to your eyes and your sense of hearing to really be fully engaged in presence as we move. Good. Next time that you press over to the side, hold, inhale, fill that hand. We'll take 3 big breaths here. Last one, inhale, hold. If it helps to bring your arm down, you can bring your arm down. Keep the lateral bending and hold. And then come out as you exhale. And we'll do a little bit of additional movement through this area. So we'll combine the movements that we did before. So we went to the side and we went front and back. Now we'll make a circle, particularly with this area of the body. So the low ribs will go out to the side and then move back and then out to the side and then move forward. So all of this movement is happening here, from here up, and there's no movement happening through the lower body. All of that is being stabilized and supported through the gentle activation of your feet down into the ground. And you may have to adjust and figure out where the edge of the range of motion is with this rib cage that you can go without moving the lower body. It's easy to sort of think that we're moving in that area. We can play all sorts of tricks on ourselves, the head moving more or different parts of the shoulders moving. See if you can really feel that this area is moving, even if it's just a little bit. So getting areas that tend to get no movement, some gentle, consistent, warming movement is going to free up the tension in your tissues. Good. Next time that you're coming forward with the rib cage, we'll switch directions. So out to the right and then back and around. You can inhale up and exhale back and around, or find some way to coordinate the movement with your breath. Good. Last time around, feeling movement happening right here at the mid-ribs. And then imagine that your movement was going from a circle to a spiral. So each repetition around, your movement's getting smaller and smaller. Good. So your vertebrae not only move laterally and back and forth, but they move little bits on top of one another. So as we're moving towards the center, seeing if you can be aware of the vertebra and the mid-back getting this really interesting movement. If there's any pain, just back off. You're just going through the range of motion that's possible and pain-free for you. Good. And then once you feel all the vertebrae stack at the mid-torso, broadening through the upper back and shoulders, hands come to the thighs. We'll take 5 breaths to feel what happened from those kind of interesting and maybe a little bit awkward movements at the mid-ribs. And now as you're breathing, see if you can be really focused on this area and feel its expansion as you inhale and contraction as you exhale. And not just in the front and not just in the sides, but all the way around. So it's the muscle that's right under this area that we're working, the diaphragm, which is like a parachute under the rib cage that as you inhale, it contracts and moves down. And as you exhale, it releases and relaxes and moves up. Let's do some inhaling and holding of the inhale so that you can really feel this passive movement of the diaphragm upward as you exhale. That's really where all of the nervous system calming effects happen, is on this passive quality of the exhale. So big inhale, rib cage moves around on all sides. Hold the inhale in. And whenever you're ready, exhale and let the exhale happen passively. And try that 4 more times. Inhale, fill. And hold. And before there becomes any strain, exhale, release, and empty. Inhale, hold. Seeing if possible, you can hold your awareness here at the solar plexus the whole time, and especially as you hold the inhale and then allow the exhale. And possibly a softening of those tissues as you exhale all around the mid-torso corset of muscles. Inhale, hold. Checking in with your posture. Notice if you started to lean forward or back, and return right to centered over the sit bones. And then exhale, release the exhale. Last time. Inhale, hold. And exhale, release. And now take a smooth, steady inhale and see if you can keep passive quality to the exhale as you really round out the transitions. So where we were pausing, we're now thinking about making those transitions as smooth as possible. Still expanding on all sides of this mid-torso solar plexus area. Good. And on an exhale, release both arms down to your side. We'll combine several of the movements that we've been working up to until now. So inhale, arm comes up and out to the side. As you lift the arm rotates about midway, and then you find whatever position with the arm overhead that you can, and exhale, bring the arm down. Good. Other side, inhale, left arm up, finding the position that is end range for you today. So that means you're not pressing, moving into pain or strain. You're not trying to get the arm higher by actually torquing and twisting at the torso, seeing the difference. And now that we've added lots of detail to these movements of the arms versus the movement of the torso, we'll be able to kind of get into some areas that we can tend to avoid. Good. Okay, now we'll combine the arm coming up as you inhale, exhale, pause, and then the rib cage pressing out to the side, and exhale, both rib cage come back to center and the arm come down. Other side, inhale, arm up, exhale, pause, inhale, press through the side ribs, reach through the hand. Now you're getting into some stretching of the rear delts and the underarm, and then exhale, everything comes back together. Keep going in this way. Inhale, arm comes up to end range. Exhale, hold, broaden through the palm, reach through the shoulder and the hand. Exhale, press through the side rib. And inhale back to, or exhale back to center, and arm comes down to the side. Other side. Inhale, reach through the hand, broaden, lengthen the arm, and then next inhale, press through the side rib. Good. And back down. So again, noticing none of the movement happens in the lower body. Inhale, arm up, broaden the palm. So even if your arm can only come to here, you're not pressing again to get the movement to happen at the side body. That happens in the next effort in a conscious way, and then you're reaching and broadening through the hand, and then both come down. So if your shoulder's in a lot of pain, so you are limited in your mobility quite a bit, wherever the end range is, go to that end range, and then press through the side rib. So to increase your mobility, you go to the edge of your pain-free range of motion. Wherever that is, broaden through the palm, reach through the shoulder, and then press through the side ribs. Back to center and down. Good. So finding the right range of motion for you and finding the right range of motion for each shoulder. So they may not be the same. It may be that you're a little bit more limited on one side. Honor that. Go to the edge of the range of motion and then see the difference in a movement of the shoulder and a movement of the rib cage. Exhaling, everything comes back to center. Good. Broadening through the palm, reaching through the shoulder. Exhale. Inhale, press through the side ribs. Good. Taking note again if you're feeling movement happening through the hips or the feet, or if you're noticing any forward or back action with the rib cage. And keeping these two movements separate. Good. And exhale down. One more time each side. And back down. And last time this side, finding your edge of range of motion each time, because it could be different. Because we're looking to soften the muscles. So these are exercises of mobility. And if we're pressing so hard to get to the end range that all the muscles tighten up, can actually be counterproductive to our goal. Okay, coming back to center, releasing the shoulders, releasing the back, taking any little wiggles that you need to. We'll take 5 deep breaths to feel what happened. Can you feel breath move in this side body, upper back, underarm area that we've been working with? So those muscles that have been tight and possibly restricting your capacity for breath, we've been working with to loosen. What is your inhale like? And how passive and complete. So are super helpful, and working with your mobility and all of those things are a really important and beneficial part of yoga practice. The one thing that I hope that you get from these classes is this awareness of your breath and this ability to sense and feel what's happening with the breath, and with attention and patience, allowing the breath to become again smooth and steady. This is like the key to your nervous system. So all of those anxious feelings, all of the worry in the mind can be offered over to this sensing of the breath, to become here now, present, engaged with your sense of hearing and your sense of sight. Again, laser focus with the eyes, but also a broadened vision, both. Good. Okay, releasing both arms down to your side. To the front of the chest here. So bringing your arms up to whatever height is possible for you without letting the rib cage jut forward or having the movement be in the rib cage instead of in the shoulders. So that could be anywhere in this range. See if you can come to about just arms parallel with the floor, like you're opened up for a big hug. You can be opened up for a big hug here too. So arms out to the side, and you're broadening through the palms and reaching both directions, space through the shoulder and the upper back, and then start to bring your arms back in space. So without letting your rib cage jet forward. Okay, so from the side, as I bring the arm back in space, the arm moves, but the rib cage doesn't move. So we've been working on this to feel and keep this engaged so we can begin to stretch in the shoulders and the upper back and the neck, where a lot of folks are experiencing pain and tension. Good, so we're doing both arms out to the side, even weight through both feet and both hands, reaching. And this rib cage is filling in all directions. And a big stretch to the chest. You can even reach more through the hands and broaden through the palms. There's a fascial line that goes across the front of your chest, and we're trying to open and release that line. You may feel it from palm to palm. Good, and then see if you can flex your wrists and press through the palm and move the arms even further back, deepening the stretch, finding wherever this is possible for you. You'll still be getting 100% of the benefit if you're staying in your comfortable range of motion. Good. Last time, big inhale, fill, hold the inhale in. And as you exhale, allow the hands to come down to the thighs and the spine to align, and we'll take 5 big breaths here, extending up through the back of the crown and grounding through the soles of the feet, really broadening the upper back, but relaxing the shoulders and relaxing the arms. Movement of the breath happens here at the solar plexus in all directions, seeing if you can use all that space and all that freedom in the tissues that we've created through these movements. Good, and keeping everything in the rest of the body the same, and the rib cage right above the hip bones, centered on the sit bones. Take an inhale and look up with the head, and an exhale and look down. So nothing below the neck moves, but we're using our available range of motion in the neck. Head looks up and then down. One more time, looking up. And then next time when you look down, keep the shoulders broad and let the head be heavy. So whatever is end range here with your flexion of your neck, looking down, chin towards your the hollow of your throat. And see if you can bring those eyes, the laser focus of your eyes, to see this area of the body that we've been working with on yourself, and see if you can actually see the movement of your breath and how it's moving not just up, but in the sides, and feel the movement in the back body. Releasing the tops of the shoulder as you let the head get heavier and heavier on the exhale. You can be aware of your feet and the alignment of your feet and the gentle grounding down of the feet. And remembering the lifting of the front hip bones and the gentle engagement of the glutes to balance the pelvis and keep the low belly engaged. And then with your head in this position, press the elbows down towards the floor. So now we're lengthening even more through the tops of the shoulders. Chest and back are broadened. We'll take 3 more inhales, and then after the inhale, pause, hold the inhale in. Allow the exhale to happen. See if you can keep the eyes focused on the low ribs as you inhale, fill, pause. See if you can notice the movements that are still happening in the body, aware of your heartbeat. A passive exhale. Last time, inhaling, pause. And exhaling, empty. And take a smooth, steady round of breath. And on your next inhale, bring your head up to level. Shake the shoulders out, roll the shoulders out a few times. And then find the center of the shoulder sockets, broadening through the chest and the back, extending up through the back of the crown. And we'll hold in stillness here, taking 5 smooth, steady breaths. Eyes are focused on the screen or just above the screen. Feeling your feet and your sits bones on the surface of the floor and the chair, and the movement of the rib cage all the way around. Seeing if you can have an awareness on a steady, smooth breath that moves here from your center, the solar plexus, the diaphragm, and really begin to have a conscious awareness of building the strength and the connection to this really important breathing muscle here at the mid-torso, the diaphragm. All right, thank you all for practicing and moving this morning. I hope that you're breathing deeper and feeling well. Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.